that there's some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast. Shame on you!
Shame on you. My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion.
And I'm Tiffany Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion.
And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again?
Podcast, period.
Or you're ugly. You're power approved. Alright.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive Papa Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance Vlog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
Are you ready?
Power.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance. God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party. It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, our presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J. Cal. This here is DKM. We are the Alliance Guys, and we're here to talk to you, brother, about pro wrestling and everything adjacent to which that therefore is. What's up, brother?
Huh? I have no idea what any of that meant.
The good thing is most people don't.
Oh. Well, okay then.
Hey, real quick, shout outs to those who are in the chat. I see Sean Mega's in the here. Vixen Wrestling Club is in the house. Dodie and Sean Mega go back way to the old school. And Noob is here. So what's up, everybody? Welcome. We're hoping that more people will be joining the chat with you guys. We're here to talk some NWA, some United Wrestling Network, some MLW, some WWE, and all points in the middle and in between, right, DK?
Yes.
I'm rocking my Mecha Wolf shirt.
Are you there?
You see it?
One of us is frozen. Probably me.
I won't be able to wear that shirt around church, though. There's some strong language on the back.
You there?
Are you not hearing me?
It froze for a minute, which was probably on my side, but
I'm talking and I'm like, are you talking to me? I don't see anyone else here. You must be talking to me. Dave Scooby's in the house. What's up, Dave? Dave, Scooby, Jeremy, and Tim spoke to Daniel Hill of the United Wrestling Network last night. I didn't get a chance to watch. It was Valentine's Day, and me and the sweetie were driving down to L.A. We both love that city so damn much. So I didn't get to listen in, but I will be listening tomorrow and catching up on that interview. I hope it went well for those guys.
really didn't watch your own people.
It was Valentine's Day. I was with my sweetie.
Well, if she truly loved you, she would have let you watch.
Bro, she came on the podcast. I think that speaks volumes about how much she loves me. I told her when we get to 5,000, she's going to.
She was replacing you.
No, she will be. When we get to 5,000, she's going to do at least one Alliance blog episode with you and with Jaden.
Poor her.
She's never really met Jaden before.
Have you explained to her the way we are?
Look, you guys will probably be giggling when she's on the show. You're going to be nice as can be. That woman's got charm up the wazoo. And Matthew Underwood, our resident Catholic, it says that it was Ash Wednesday for him and Aaron Stevens. Hey, man, that's cool. It's cool.
Ash Wednesday. That's what it was. I knew Valentine's Day and something else collided, and I could not remember for the life of me what it was.
Now, I was born Catholic. I was mostly raised Catholic. I'm non-practicing now. Is Catholicism the only religion that does Ash Wednesday, or do other Christian groups do Ash Wednesday? I don't know.
What I call the Catholic Protestants, which are like the Episcopals and other, others that kind of still have that same hierarchy, priests, bishops, and things like that.
Yeah.
They also have like an Ash Wednesday and a Lent and
everything.
Like, for example, I don't attend anywhere, but I watch an Episcopal church from Fort Worth on YouTube, and so they have all of that. And trying to describe the Christian religion is kind of like impossible.
And I'm not trying to poo-poo on anybody's beliefs. Honestly, I'm not. Whatever faith you have, I'm glad you have that faith. Cherish it. Worship it. All that good. It's all good as far as I'm concerned. But it's everybody who doesn't have the same faith always has that conflict, and it's like we can live in harmony. You could still believe what you believe, and I believe what I believe, and as long as my thoughts and actions don't conflict with your thoughts and actions, I think we'll be all right.
As long as you realize I'm right and you're wrong, everything's fine.
Matthew Underwood, quoting his priest, said he referenced Hulk Hogan in the homily. He said that the WWF match, it will forever be the Fed. Well, yeah, because people who watched wrestling in the 80s never changed over and started calling it World Wrestling Entertainment. I don't think that'll ever happen.
No, probably not.
I still slip and call it WWF from time to time.
Yeah, if I do the initials, I do. It's a 50-50 chance which one I'm actually going to say. I remember to type WWE, but when it comes to actually saying it, I'll say WWF half the time.
Luthez knows me so well. Jay is so endearing when he walks on eggshells. Yeah, look, man. I'm not trying to get canceled here. We just now got to 3,000 and some odd numbers. I don't want to lose any of you. We're gonna play nice here on my playground. Roswell's in the house. What's that?
Sure, you don't want to be canceled?
Not really. I don't. It doesn't look very pleasurable. Speaking of people who get canceled, what's up, Jaden? What's going on?
Hey, I may have to come right back. I'm not hearing it. I'm hearing the problem I had last time with the volume. So give me a second. I'll see if I can fix it.
All right. I think he was actually still eating. He just didn't want to get off, stop eating his sandwich.
Well, I mean, I finished literally just as we went live.
Matthew, I was Catholic, and I'll just leave it at that. James H. Jackson's in the house. That's my guy right there. I love James. He's such a good dude. James has got his pulse on the heartbeat of pro wrestling. If something happens, James knows about it before anyone else, and has the time to message everyone before they find out too.
Hey, yeah, this week is like the first time that I found out something before he sent it to me, because normally he'll send it to me. Now I may not have always seen it, but normally he'll send it to me, and then and that's how I find out. Or I'll find out something and try to top him, and I'll go and he had already sent it like 2 hours before. But I did learn about NWA Chicago before he sent it to me.
Well, I think that's a great segue, because that's on the docket for us to discuss tonight. Obviously, some late breaking NWA news. Now, of course, there was a little wrestling match that happened on Tuesday, or early Tuesday, and we'll get to that. We're also going to debate on whether the WWE pandered to the fans or were working the fans. We'll get to that. But hey, man, late breaking news. This just handed to me. NWA Chicago, first show on March the 8th in Chicago, Highland Park. Daddy, the NWA returns to Chicago, but not just for one night, not just for an event, but a new territory. NWA-Chicago.com. Has anyone tried typing in NWA-Chicago.com yet?
Yes.
And it goes to fight the world. What the hell?
Yeah, I was going to say, apparently, based on some of the things I read on Pro Wrestling Insider Elite, it looks like NWA Chicago is a joint venture between Billy Corgan and Brian Idol, and that they're going to be putting on shows in the Chicago area branded NWA Chicago. So I assume this means at some point Fight the World will actually, which is based in Florida, right? Is that what I remember? Yeah. Okay. So I'm assuming at some point they'll actually formally join the NWA territories for down in Florida. I know they're working an angle at the moment.
I don't know if that's true, to be quite honest. I think maybe they said no to them in Florida. And when the idea came up with Chicago, that maybe Brian Idol jumped at it. Now, I want to read some more of the comments in the chat, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about this. We'll get Jane's input and everything else. But Noob says, I'm going to rewatch Natalia's match from the NWA and FTW Showdown show later on tonight. I did not see that. I need to check that out yet. Paladin says that he and I are rivals now, but what you guys didn't know is we've always been rivals. We actually had chose the same starter Pokemon back in the day and have been rivals ever since. Scoops Jackson is our hookup. Holler if you hear me. I should see Matthew, geez. I should see if James H. Jackson wants to write for the Alliance blog, considering as much as he knows. Doty, if you say Henry West's name 3 times in the dark, a ghost will appear in front of you. NWA Chicago, I'm sure he's all about that. Paladin says, where is Big Willie at? The more that we've talked about the WWE, the less we see Willie. And, that's a shame. I love Willie. He's always welcome back anytime he wants to check in. But I think that he's kind of moved on from being regularly attending this show.
Hey.
Matthew Underwood says he did check out the new website. And, yes, FTW. Paladin's asking what's wrong with your nose, DK. And mind your business, Paladin. Mind your business.
He got in a fight with a cloud, and the cloud didn't take so kindly to being yelled at.
For the record, I get pustules, both on my nose and on top of my head, that are just these. They're not pimples like you think of, like acne, but they do get, kind of round, and they fill with pus. And when you shower or something, at some point you finally kind of are able to drain the pus, and then a sore appears. So that's what goes on with my nose when you guys see.
Glad I just finished eating my dinner. Yeah.
Well, and it's like the views doubled on the chat, so obviously the pus talk is working for us. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Doty says March is going to be a busy month for the NWA. Hard Times, NWA Chicago, the WLW Joint Show. I also believe that there is another event for Exodus Pro in March, and I could be mistaken, but I also believe that Joe Kazana Promotions is running. This is kind of what they wanted, to be quite honest. I think this is the whole genesis of having the Talk of Territories, is having something going on more than just once a month. Noob says, so FTW Wrestling is a Chicago territory? I mean, it's kind of what it seems like. We'll get more into it in just a minute. I want to go through the rest of your guys' comments, and then we'll get back to it. Matthew Underwood says, my question is, will there be content on YouTube for this joint venture? Doty says, maybe Brian Idol will be in charge of Chicago while FTW Florida will be in charge of Mercurio.
Yeah, that could happen.
Would
the,
that
twin cousins, the twin cousins.
Would that surprise you if they tried to pull that out? Paladin says lifelong rivals like Vegeta and Goku.
It's
I want to be Goku.
Vegeta, man.
I never watched Dragon Ball Z, bro.
It's kind of like Godzilla. It's kind of like one of those common things that people hear.
No, not for me, bro. Sorry.
Vegeta.
Let's talk.
I like to Vegeta this conversation sometimes.
Let's talk Darkwing Duck. Let's talk Gargoyles. Let's talk young Justice, right? Justice League. I wasn't watching Cartoon Network with their 15 hours of Dragon Ball Z every day.
Well, you missed some good stuff and a lot of bad filler and a lot of.
Paladin says you never watched Dragon Ball Z. Come on. Dodie says Dragon Ball Z is virgin. Watch the original series first.
Dragon Ball?
Matthew Underwood's with me. Gizmo Duck. Hell yeah, man. Gizmo Duck. And what was the Stone Age duck that they brought in? The little Brontosaurus riding caveman duck. He was pretty cool too.
I actually know it. I'm not telling you.
Oh,
son of a bitch. Dave Scooby.
My head is starting to hurt.
What's that?
Except my head is starting to hurt.
I'll skip it. Well, we're done. We're done. Dave Scooby brings up, did someone's ego get bruised in Chicago? Is that a zinger or what? Nicely done, Dave Scooby. Yeah, notice on that poster, there's a couple of Chicagoans I don't see on there. I don't see Mr. Ego Fantastico. I don't see Kaoa Lakamana. Do you? Am I missing him?
I remember when Kaoa Lakamata danced on top of the ECW arena.
That was Kamoa Wanalea.
Close
Kamoa Wanalea.
All right, whatever you say. As we've already identified here, I'm not good with pronouncing made-up words.
Made-up words are called names?
like, no, I'm not gonna.
I'm pretty sure Kaylee's made up word.
What's that?
So I'm pretty sure Kaylee's a made up word. You don't hear that in standard conversation.
You would if you were in Ireland, my friend.
Are we in Ireland?
No.
Okay.
If we were in Scotland, if we went and visited Fiona, we could go watch football at the Cayley Thistle. Yeah, the Cayley Thistle. Look it up. There's a football club in my native land of Scotland that shares my last name as its first name. So,
Still sure it's a made up word.
What's that now?
So I'm still sure it's a made up word.
Well, ironically, in Gaelic, it means slender warrior. I never met a Cayley who was slender, so.
I don't know what to say to that. Well, I mean, I have lots to say, but I don't know what to say to that that's appropriate.
Nothing. Let's get to NWA Chicago. Now, this is an interesting foray for the NWA. Obviously, Billy Corgan is centrally located right there in Chicago. His coffee and tea shop, Madame Zuzu's, is right there near Highland Park. They had a benefit show, I believe it was last year, for a young child who was shot during the Highland Park shooting the year before. The Highland Park has been Highland Park in Chicago have been kind of a home for the NWA over the past few years. And now that it looks like they're going to go all in by creating this territory with Brian Idol at the helm.
Trademarked.
What's that?
Trademarked.
What do you mean?
You said all in.
Oh, shit. Jaden, I'm curious as to, because, I mean, obviously, you know a thing or two about a thing or two. You, at one point, were working in an NWA territory system. Chicago, I grew up never, let me say that again. I never really thought of Chicago as a hotbed for professional wrestling. That is until we were introduced to people like Joe Alonzo, Missa Kate, and some of the others that we had seen from the Chicago shows. I know that Bradley J used to come from Chicago. And if we go further back in history, we can look at guys like Adam Pearce, Colt Cabana, CM Punk, Ace Steel, Christopher Daniels. All those guys kind of hung out in the Windy City area. So Jaden, tell me about Chicago and why is this a good spot for the NWA to be in?
Well, traditionally it was an AWA territory.
Right.
The AWA really was Chicago, but during the Jim Crockett promotion era, until a Starrcade where the Road Warriors lost to Tully and Arn, it was a hotbed for Jim Crockett Promotions, and it's always been a wrestling town. Chicago has loved wrestling about as much as they love gangsters and pizza that's not actually deep dish.
Isn't that called like lasagna? Deep dish pizza is basically lasagna.
It's a souffle, or it's not a souffle. It's a casserole.
There we go. I'm just waiting to see DK's head explode because I know he loves the deep dish pizza.
Chicago people, most Chicago people from Chicago I know don't. They actually like their pizza thin crust, or there's other styles out there too. But like a lot of people I know from Chicago and Illinois don't actually like the deep dish pizza.
The most popular pizza in Chicago is the thin crust. Yes.
Oh, it is. That's unique.
What was it, DK?
I said the most popular pizza in Chicago is the thin crust.
Yeah, it is. And most of them like and what we call thin crust is not New York style. It's more of a crunchier flatbread crust.
Right, and they typically cut it into squares.
I just found out that in the city I used to live in, Moreno Valley, that they have a Chicago-style pizza from somebody who used to run a pizzeria in Chicago. So now I'm halfway tempted to go try it, but I know I'm going to be disappointed either way because it's still Chicago-style pizza.
Well, there are several places here, and we used to have a Geno's East and a Pizzeria Uno, and both of them were killed off during the pandemic. And we always get like mom and pop Chicago pizza places that pop up.
Sure.
And I've been to several of them, and none of them have real Chicago deep dish pizza. Most of them are closer to like a not topped stuffed crust pizza.
Real quick, wasn't Pizzeria Uno one of the Dark Order?
I think so.
Caesars.
Caesars.
Dodie says.
Pizza.
That's right. Pizza. That's what he says. I blew that one. Dodie says, I heard Italians hate Chicago deep dish pizza. Then Matthew Underwood says Detroit style is greater than Chicago.
Now, Detroit style is good. I mean, look, everything's personal belief.
Tell me what Detroit style is.
Everything's personal taste. I'll get there in just 1 second.
Okay.
I love good Chicago deep dish pizza. Detroit is more, it's rectangular typically in a pan, where they top it with the cheese, the toppings, and then like blobs of sauce. It's not like normally smooth, or at least not the places I've been to.
Okay.
And so it's a deep dish, but it's a different type of deep dish.
All right.
And it's pretty good. I don't like them as well as I like Chicago. But I do like them. And I do like New York, but New York covers a range of different pizza types, because there's the street pizza,
which is generally usually the best.
yeah. There's the street pizza, there's the sliced pizza, and then there's more of the, I don't know that gourmet is the right word, but like the places that use the full coal-fired ovens and So and their crust is actually a little bit thinner and can be crispier, and there's different types of pizza in Chicago. I mean, there's different types of pizzas in New York, and so look, I like pizza. I like a frozen Totino's pizza every now and again. And
Chemical pizza.
Yeah, and I like New York pizza and
Elio's pizza. Pizza rolls.
Connecticut pizza.
I don't like, since they changed it, the little pizza bagels they used to have.
Oh, no,
The show's come full circle. A couple months ago, Jane ordered like 600 pounds of the pizza bagels.
They were okay, but maybe that's why I don't like them. I'm probably tired of them.
Maybe, I think.
Anyway, no, it wasn't. It wasn't pizza bagels. It was Totino's pizza. I found a really cheap. It was cheaper to buy the really big, a lot of them, than buying the pizza itself. It was like cheaper than buying like 40 of them than buying like 5.
What about when I used to work at a pizza place for a short time? I used to carve the cheese and serve the beer and deliver the pizzas. My boss would say, "Hey, while you're working, if you make something, you can have it, whatever you want. You just can't take it home. You got to eat it here." So I would take the garlic cheese bread. I'm getting hungry now just thinking about it. I'd take the garlic cheese bread, the big loaf, and then I'd pour barbecue sauce on that, and go like the blend of cheese, the provolone and the mozzarella, and throw some pepperonis on it. That was so amazing. I used to love that.
If you put it on sauce on that, that'd actually be called French bread pizza, even though it's not generally typically made out of French bread. It's made out of Italian bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird.
Jeremy wants to know about Quebec pizza. Have you guys ever heard of Quebecian pizza?
So it got like Canadian bacon on it, eh? Technically, Canadian pizza's got pineapple.
Yeah, I was going to say pineapple.
I hear it's really apologetic.
You know what that's all about, eh? Tim's going to kick me in the balls when he sees me next. Dodie says,
send those geese after you.
Yeah, how many slices of New York pizza can Tyrus devour?
How big is New York?
That many. Matthew Underwood says breakfast pizza. The first time I had breakfast pizza, I was in Las Vegas at the Wynn Casino at the $40 buffet. We did the mimosas, so there was a lot of alcohol being consumed. And they had pizza with literally scrambled eggs on it, bacon. And I was drinking. I was probably drunk from the night before, and I ate that pizza, and it was so good. So incredibly good.
The first time I ever did a homemade breakfast pizza, I decided to make like a deep dish thing. So I followed the recipe for biscuits. You know,
Okay.
the kind that you roll out and cut or pat out and cut. But instead of cutting them, I just put it in the bottom of like a deep dish pan.
Oh.
And then I topped it. I think I used, breakfast sausage and eggs and doing like scrambled eggs and everything. And I learned a very important lesson. Cook your scrambled eggs at least partly before you do this, because it takes them a long time to cook.
No bueno.
There's something called a pizza, a tower pie, and it's kind of a pizza. It's like the same thin crust they do in New York style, but then you put bolognese on top and cheese, and then you do another layer, and then you do bolognese and cheese, and then another layer, and then you top it with cheese on top, and then pepperoni usually. And then you bake it slow in an oven so that all that just permeates through, and it's basically like, instead of using noodles for lasagna, you're using the pizza dough instead.
That sounds incredible. All of this my daughter cannot eat because she has celiac disease and is a type 1 diabetic. But a lot of places now have cauliflower crust, and she loves it, and I'm so happy she does.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no, because like, can I be transparent for a minute?
Who's Tran, and why are you their parent?
That's right. When my daughter got diagnosed with type 1, I didn't know how that was going to affect all of our collective lives. And at the moment, I got really sad. And as somebody who eats a lot, this sounds cheesy, but I literally sat there and started crying. And my wife says, "What? Why are you crying?" And I said, "I can't even just take my daughter to go get a slice of pizza now. Like this sucks." She goes, "No, you can. You still can." And then she got diagnosed with celiac disease. So then it was like, well, now you can't, but there's a lot of gluten-free options now. But.
There's actually recipes out there where you could turn chicken into a pizza crust.
I saw this guy make, man, we're doing too much food talk. Whatever. We're going to roll with it for a little bit. Saw a guy take ground up chicken, egg, and like not flour. It was completely gluten-free and he called it carnivore bread, right? And he baked it and it came out and it looked like bread, but it was like ground chicken. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is something I could get behind. So who knows?
I know a similar recipe, except they put in shredded Parmesan cheese.
Yeah, I think that's what they used to.
Can she have rice?
Yeah, rice is good. Corn products are good.
Because I think I've seen something like that where they use like a rice flour or something.
Yeah, we've done that.
Like when I watched, they made their own rice flour. You know how that goes. Somebody who has way too much time on their hands, so they're grinding the rice in their food processor into rice flour. It's like
I've seen bread made out of egg whites too, that basically more looks like an angel food cake bread, and I want to try that just because it looks so fluffy.
Yeah,
real quick, Jeremy had the joke, and we've been skipping over, but I got to get to it. The Quebec pizza is a Pop-Tart with ketchup.
I'm so heartbroken that Pop-Tarts is one of the top 10 most unhealthy foods in snack foods.
And if you want to know why we're talking about this instead of NWA Chicago, it's because we really covered everything we know about NWA Chicago.
There's not a lot to talk about. And you know, Chris Drummond, and I love Chris. Chris, I've never met Chris in person, but much like DK and Jaden and Sean Mega and Doty, I feel like I've known Chris Drummond most of my adult life. And I've never met him in person, and we're hoping to change that within the next year. Either he's going to be at a show in Vegas and I'll make it, or we'll go to a show in Philly, something, I don't know. But he said, well, does that mean that they're going to report to Exodus Pro because Exodus Pro is NWA Midwest? And Chris, I don't think they've thought this through. I guarantee you this wasn't a 20-year plan. This is just shit they're throwing together now. Like, hey, this might work. This might make sense. And I pardon the language. I know I don't normally cuss this much. It's been an emotional day for your boy, Jay. But I will say this. I think that the territory system, I feel like, is a good idea. I feel like at the end of the day, it's going to provide opportunity for talents to continue to wrestle for the NWA, building that exposure in Chicago, building that exposure in Kingsport or whatever part of Tennessee Joe Kazana's running, or, you know, Cleveland, Ohio. I feel like all of these moves really strengthen the NWA brand. I'll be honest, I don't know where the benefit is for somebody like EC3 to be affiliated with the NWA, but a promotion like NWA Chicago, which it sounds like it's going to be FTW wearing the NWA colors in Chicago, I could see the benefit of that. Do you have anything you want to add to that, DK, before we talk more about food?
No, I mean, I think, look, don't get caught up in territory names. We've seen that hundreds of times and stuff. I mean, it was like, I remember people tried to compare the licensees under the Tharp regime to the territories under the pro wrestling. It doesn't work. Pro wrestling organization or whatever they were, you know, the
PWO.
They you know, they would give out these massive territories where if the promoter ran it all, he ran like one city, and then he would get affiliates to run all these, you know, different cities if he even bothered to do that.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes he just had one affiliate that just ran one area, you know, city. And so let's not get caught up in the names and everything. You know, Midwest, they're based in
the Northeast.
Well, Ohio, isn't it? They're based in Ohio.
Yeah, but isn't Ohio, like, if you look at the map, isn't Ohio part of the Northeast?
Well, today, back in the day, Ohio was considered the Northwest because we hadn't expanded things.
That's a long time ago. Like that was before you were born.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying nothing was before I was born.
DK was Pangea champion. What are you talking about?
Pangea champion.
What's his name? Danny Davis ran Ohio Valley.
Yeah.
In North Kentucky, and had a Southern heavyweight and Southern tag team champions. And because Kentucky was kind of the South.
So from an idiot, West Coaster, Kentucky to me is the South. I don't know.
Well, again, look at it on a map. It's it's Ohio, and then there's not much north other than the Great Lakes.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
It's culturally the South, but it's culturally the South more than states on the East Coast that are south of it are.
Well, then, so I went to New Mexico 2 years ago.
Probably.
And that's a place that you enjoy visiting, DK.
Love it.
And that felt very much like being in Texas. And I was in Texas once in my life. It very much felt like I was in Texas, but it's radically different in Arizona. We're only talking about one state difference. Right. There people were so like kind and welcoming, and it was like down home. It was like, hey, Shug, you want some more coffee? You get to Arizona, like the coffee's over there if you want some, go get it yourself. It was very. And I've been to all over. I've been to most parts of Arizona, Flagstaff, Mesa, Phoenix, all these spots in Arizona, and it's all the same.
Yet in New Jersey, there's North Jersey, which is completely different than South Jersey. Then we have a small part of South Jersey that's known as Deep South Jersey, which acts like it's from Alabama.
Sweet home.
And don't some people recognize as Central Jersey? Because I've heard that phrase before.
There's no such thing.
Well, according to a friend of mine that lives in New Jersey, there is. Because
some people like that are delusional.
He claims that he's in Central Jersey.
Yeah, see, this is how it works. If you're from where I am, that's North Jersey. If you're from, say, the Newark area, that's South Jersey. Yet it's neither of us really want it, but we also acknowledge that there is no such thing as Central Jersey. That's just kind of like the neutral zone.
Yeah,
it doesn't really exist.
That's
no man's land, is what you're saying.
It's no intelligent man. Of course, then again, I've been to North Jersey either. I could probably say the same.
It's funny because you mentioned that, and then in California, there's SoCal, which is where Los Angeles and Orange County is considered SoCal, which is really weird because I still live in what would geographically be considered Southern California, but we're considered like, the problematic part of SoCal. And then there's San Diego, which is still SoCal, but they consider like Southern SoCal. And then there's like,
I thought they considered North Mexico.
Yeah, and then there's Bakersfield, which is like in the center of the state, and nobody wants to claim that. NorCal doesn't want it, SoCal doesn't want it, so they call it the Central Coast.
Don't they call that prison?
Yeah, that too. Then you've got like Northern California, and everyone thinks, oh, San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose. No. That's more of the central part of California, because Northern California, you have the weirdos who want to take parts of California and parts of Washington and form their own state called Eureka. So there's all kinds of craziness in the world. Geography's weird, people are weird, and we're talking pizza.
Real quick, DK, I'm told there's two parts of Texas. There's Texas and there's Houston. Is that true?
There's a rivalry between Dallas-Fort Worth and Houston. And so in Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston's part of Louisiana.
Gotcha.
And in Houston, Dallas-Fort Worth is part of Oklahoma.
It's always been my understanding about Texas is that it's Austin and then everyone else. Like Austin is the oddball.
Well, Austin used to be the oddball.
Not no mo.
And now he's the rattlesnake.
It's the most artistic area.
You say artistic with an R?
Maybe. It's the most artistic area. So, like the music and artistry and everything like that.
South by Southwest.
Very, very, very liberal. More liberal than like Dallas and Houston. Very, very, very liberal.
Sounds nice.
And got some of the best barbecue in the world. And and then but like East Texas and West Texas, you wouldn't know you were in the same state.
That's like West Hollywood and East Hollywood are very different too. Hey, Matthew Underwood says, speaking of pizza, the slime balls got tossed around in the air so much that I'm 100% behind them getting more power time. Yeah. What did you think of them? I guess we'll talk about them next, but DK, what did you think about the slime balls making it wasn't their debut, but their debut at the Signature Live event? That's fair.
I think that of all the matches from this week's TV, the U.S. Tag Team Championship match with whatever they call themselves.
Odin, the Immortals.
Immortals. Okay, because I know we call them different things, some of which aren't insulting. So, the Immortals versus the Slime Balls as a wrestling match and what you would expect was the best thing on the show. And for those who didn't watch the show, watch the show and didn't watch the match, this is what happened. The Slime Balls got beat up, primarily the little one, the little, loud, obnoxious one, who said that he wanted the big guy in, that he was, and stuff like that. He got the crap beat out of him. He was, like they would do suplexes and then release the suplex as they were going back, and he'd go flying to the other side of the ring. He was just beaten unmercifully. The big guy came in, made a couple of moves, then for some unknown stupid reason immediately tags back out to the small guy, who gets totally beaten up and pinned. And when you look at the Slime Balls and you look at the Immortals and you think, okay, these people are going to have a physical contest with each other, your mind goes, these guys should totally wipe out those other guys. And that's what happened.
Yes.
And that's what needed to happen.
One of the best book segments of Power this year.
And it took me back to the old days of wrestling, where the little loud, obnoxious guy who wasn't Buddy Roberts, and even Buddy Roberts, this happened to, but they were just manhandled and beaten up, and it was like that was just so beautiful.
I'm so mad we never got that King Kong Bundy versus Little Beaver match.
I am too. Or at least they could have made it a 4-on-1 or something like that.
There's a lot of jokes to be made there, but not from me.
Well,
his wife was pretty small.
We can't help your mind.
She was Asian though, so I don't think she could have been little. Oh, never mind.
My buddy Chris is in the chat. Chris and I actually went to high school together and elementary school together. It's Chuvan Vantage School.
Easy for you to say.
No, it took me like 14 years of practice, but I got it. I've known him since the 3rd grade. And in fact, for a short time, I was really close with his cousin who came from Thailand and didn't speak very much English when he was here. And Chris thought I taught his cousin to say, the Ninja Turtles eat the pizza, but I swear I never did it.
Sure.
I'm just happy my buddy's here, guys. It happens sometimes, but it makes my heart happy to see, like, look, this is a guy that I go to baseball games with, and we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift, and here he is in my chat, and it just makes my heart happy. Okay.
Did you add an extra N to his name, by the way?
Never, not once. You see, there's like 2 N's in there, and that's more than enough. So Slime Balls versus the Immortals. That was a fun match. Obviously, I think we need to talk about this match, and it's going to eat up some time, so we'll just break it now. of course, we had the women's television champion take on the men's television champion. Now, it's funny because Poyle Delmar has been on this stream with us quite a bit, not only with the Alliance guys, but she's done the pre-party with us. And she said that this was not a title unification bout, but everything that they said on commentary made it sound like this absolutely was a title unification bout. Oh, Jaden, you good?
Yeah, I almost dropped the phone.
Okay.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and nuclear war.
Oh, Jesus.
Apparently hand grenades, too.
You know, not as much as nuclear war.
Did you know, we're going to go back to pizza, there's an area where the frozen pizzas in a store, if you don't a nuclear fallout, would be perfectly cooked.
Nice.
I mean, that's kind of good to know.
That's where I'm going to be.
All right.
Perfectly cooked?
Yes, basically.
Well, I'll be dead because the bombs will get here before they'll get to you guys.
Only from the, if they're, well, depends where they're coming from. ICBMs can be hit anywhere.
Dodie says, so JPKM are certified slime balls fans. I'll say this, man. Just going back to that matchup, am I a fan? No. But I feel like that was a really good book segment. They put a tag team in there that didn't belong in the ring with the champions, and that's how it was treated. There wasn't like some miraculous offense from the slime balls. They got their licks in. They got a few shots.
Well, the one guy.
Yeah, the one guy. But ultimately, it was a team that they were at a disadvantage. They should not have been competitive in a match against Odinson and Kratos. And let's be honest, Odinson and Kratos, you could slide them right into the ring with blunt force trauma, and you wouldn't really know who the top tier tag team champions are. In fact, you might even make the case that Odinson and Kratos are the better tag team than blunt force trauma because they don't need a manager to win their matches. But I digress. This was exactly what it needed to be. And it's not a shot at the slime balls. Maybe they could turn into something, but for right now, they were used exactly as how they should have been used.
You know, it's actually funny because I'm glad to hear that this is happening because nowadays, the team like the Mulkeys actually would be the tag team champions in most promotions.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one of the Mulkeys actually did win titles on independent shows later. One basically retired right away, but the other kept working independents. And don't ask me which ones because I don't know.
There was actually 3 Mulkey brothers I heard at one time too.
Big John Mulkey, Sign Guy Mulkey,
Dances with Mulkey.
Mulkey get the tables. Little
Mulkey,
Spike
Mulkey. Big Dick Mulkey.
Big Dick Mulkey.
I was going to say it, but
how many people remember that was the original Dudley?
Dudley, Little Snot Dudley, and Big Dick Dudley were the 3 original Dudleys, and they were based off the Hanson brothers, which was a tag team in California. It was also based off the Hanson brothers, if I remember.
Yeah, the Ballards, Shannon and Shane Ballard. And then it turns out, I can't say that. Never mind. Turns out one of the Ballards had a thing for my wife's best friend. So, it's just weird. It's a small world, right? Like my wife, who barely likes wrestling, she would tell you she doesn't like wrestling. Her best friend that they're practically inseparable now happened to meet one of the Ballard brothers, and he had a thing for her.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Okay.
But did he like pizza? Oh.
We were talking about pizza, but now we're talking about the title matchup between Mims and Max. Now,
I tried to avoid it, people.
Look, it's the elephant in the room. It has to be discussed. I haven't seen one person say this was awesome. And you're not going to hear that from me either. I did not want this match. After talking to a few people about it, like maybe Mims wasn't in the right spot he was supposed to be currently. And I say that because, like, who did Mims beat to become TV champion? Do you remember? He beat
the Clearwater.
Well, I remember it was a couple of 3-way matches or 4-way matches.
It was 2 different 3-way matches where the winner of the first 3-way match was Zicky Dice, and he took on Mims.
Right.
And
so I mean, I do remember the final was Sicky Dice and Mims.
And when you think about it, where the TV title has been since Zicky Dice, and I'm not trying to run over Zicky Dice either. I'm not trying to bury him here. That's not what I'm doing. But, you know, the TV title was Ricky Starks, who literally held it for 3 days. Zicky Dice wins it, then the whole world shuts down. At some point during the pandemic, they take the belt off of Zicky Dice and put it on one of my favorites, you know, Elijah Burke, the Pope. Pope was great.
That was the best they ever did the title.
Pope elevated that title and made it meaningful. Then they put the belt on Tyrus, which, again...
It got lost in his fat folds.
Oh, shit. I did not like Tyrus as champion, but they treated him as a very credible threat, built him up to the world title using that TV title. Then when Tyrus essentially forfeits the title to pursue the world's heavyweight title, who did we get to win the TV title?
Jordan Clearwater.
Jordan Clearwater. Okay. Jordan Clearwater maybe shouldn't have been TV champion when he won the title. And we haven't really seen a consistent Jordan Clearwater since he lost the TV title. He loses the TV title to Tom Latimer. And Tom Latimer was everything you want in a TV champion. He had the look. He had the wrestling ability. He had the promos. He was main event status. He was probably the best built TV champion since the Pope, right? And then he goes through his 7, wins the Lucky 7, gets his shot at EC3, and then the title goes back, and it lands on Mims. Keep in mind, on the roster, you had guys like, you know, I don't know if this is somebody who deserves the TV title, but you had former champions like Trevor Murdoch. You had Homicide. You had Kerry Morton. You had, you know, more well-known names like Chris Adonis, you know, Mecha Wolf, for that matter, Bastia. And those guys were kept away from the title. The title was kind of pigeoned right to Mims. And at the time, I thought, hey, this is Mims coming out party. This is great. But maybe this was too early for Mims. Maybe this was just a weird, like, it shouldn't have happened. And maybe by bringing in Max to do this giant correction to kind of erase the Mims as champion, I don't know. Because they didn't do a whole lot with Mims as champion. He had one match with his former tag team partner, Dak Draper, which seemed like it was setting up something, but they never pulled the trigger on it. We had the match at Samhain, which was essentially setting up this match between Max and Mims. I think it was an overcorrection. I still don't think that Max needs to hold the men's television championship, just like I don't think it would have benefited Mims at all to win the women's title. But I feel like they're trying to make Max a spotlight, a featured presentation. And I think Jaden might agree with me when I say this. They don't know how to book Max to that spot. So they feed Max props to build Max up. Am I wrong in that, Jaden? What do you think?
They probably, do not know how to properly capitalize on Max. And in my opinion, B, I think Effie called them out, and now this is just their version of a market correction where they're trying to act like that they're cool with the cool kids, and they do all this cool stuff because it's the thing that they're doing on the indies right now, and instead of actually doing what's right for business, they're doing what's because they don't want to be called out as behind the times and anti anything else. I think that's what they're doing at this right now, and I think that's just like they're doing all the crappy indie stuff now. If you're going to do the crappy indie stuff, then why the hell are you NWA? You got to be crappy indie stuff. Call yourself Smashing Pumpkins Wrestling Federation and do all the crappy indie stuff. You know why the crappy indie stuff is on the indies? Because it's not good enough to be on national promotion or national television. And AEW, I think, is learning that right now.
I hope so.
Well, I think I should say the people who closely pay attention to AEW's business are learning. I don't think I'm like almost calling him Billy Corgan Jr. I don't think Tony Khan is realizing that.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's sad that right now that Dixie Carter seems the best out of the three.
Damn. Shots fired. Needless to say, like, look, if I'm just going to look at the match in a vacuum, it was an entertaining match. I didn't hate it. Max size and ability in the ring and the ability to take punishment in the ring lends themselves to being in a matchup with stiffer competition. I don't necessarily love intergender matches. In fact, I don't really like them at all. And I have friends that do them, and more power to you, but that's not my cup of tea. I would prefer to see a woman wrestler wrestle another woman, or a male wrestler wrestle another male. And I get we live in a society today, especially in the world of wrestling, where the lines are more blurred now than ever. Watching Game Changer Wrestling, and a trans female wrestler is wrestling for the World Heavyweight Championship against a man. They're about the same size, so it doesn't feel as weird, you know? But like, I don't want to watch Liv Morgan take on the Great Khali, you know? That does nothing for me. I don't want to see, these very ambiguous matchups that don't make any sense. But when I look at Max versus Mims, they were kind of built in similar size and stature, right? I mean, did you guys, DK, are you with me on this one or no?
I mean, if you just look at them in the ring together, you go, okay, they seem like they might be pretty well matched. Now, there are things, if you truly look at Max's arms versus Mim's arms and, you know, stuff like that. It's just, look, it just doesn't work for me.
No.
And, you know, when Jaden first gave his theory, well, this is just a response to, you know, Effie or whatever, and I wasn't sure that I believed that, but kind of having gone through this and watched it, then my answer is, yeah, now I'm starting to actually believe that. You liked the match better than I did. I found it a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, well, I mean,
You're giving it way more praise than it deserves. Is probably what he's trying to say.
Well, there's a.
Tell me what match that you've seen from Mims that blew you away. And I'm not trying to bury Mims, because I actually like Mims. He's very well spoken. His promos to me have gotten a lot better. His in-ring work has gotten a lot better. But tell me what Mims match just blew you out of the water. You're like, yeah, that's the guy.
Mims and Jordan Clearwater put on some matches.
Okay.
I heard his match against Dak Draper was pretty decent too.
His match was it was good. It was better as they looked like they were developing a story.
It was booked well. I don't think the match was all that great. And that's the difference, right? Like
right.
You work a match, but the story that you're telling is also part of it. So like your in-ring versus what story is being told. If we just look at the in-ring between Max and Mims, again, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. It was decent. Now, with that being said, I don't expect everyone to pick up where I'm at and saying, yeah, that was a great match. It wasn't a great match. It was a good enough match. But with that being said, I hope this doesn't last for very long. I hope, I get it that Max is a undeniable talent. Max is a very unique talent. And Max, by not conforming to either gender, gives you flexibility with how you use Max. But at the end of the day, I think Max is best suited wrestling against the women's division. And that's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree. That's fine. I would like to...
controversial.
Yeah.
I know I can. I should say, may I be controversial?
100%.
It's come to my understanding that, and things that I've heard and been told, that the wrestling promoters that promote intergender matches either are sick perverts that like to watch women get molested, or men that could never get a woman to touch them, so they get off by watching a man wrestling a woman, or they have some kind of anger toward women and they enjoy watching a woman get beat up. The men that wrestle against women often in intergender matches and have a big thing on that either are sick perverts who like to molest women, or are men that have some kind of secret anger against women and enjoy beating the crap out of them. And fans who enjoy intergender wrestling are either sick perverts who like to watch women get molested, or have some kind of anger and something against women and enjoy watching them get the crap kicked out of them.
Well, I'm sure there are exceptions that prove that as a rule. But, I mean, look, here's my thought when it comes to everything. And now my views are yours too, Jay. And here's when it comes to everything that has to do with this. Mims has never been booked well by the NWA. Never, ever, ever. We've complained about how he's been booked multiple times. Now, we've complained about some of his own failings also, but he seems to be correcting some of those. One like when he did his 60-second interview or whatever that they did at one time and were really good, and I guess they were so good they stopped doing them. We pointed out some things on that. It's like I've been there, would have re-recorded that, and apparently, from what I've gathered from things Pollo and others have said, apparently Billy doesn't like that. Apparently, Billy just wants to go with what's out there. And so it's like he doesn't want what's best. He wants what he thinks is real. And sometimes he needs to remember this is pro wrestling. And their job is to suspend my disbelief. And I think that was the problem with Max versus
Mims.
If I could look at that and say, well, there are two humans in the ring facing each other, would I say they put on a decent match? Maybe. I had problems with Mims taking basically a 60-40 thing on this match.
Sure.
And look, there were some people on Twitter. I went back to see, and it looks like they deleted some of their posts and everything like that. But, it said, hey, look, this was a 60-40 match. It didn't do Mims any good. It makes him look bad. It didn't do anything to make Max look good. Just made Mims look bad.
I would say handing Max another title makes Max look like a bigger deal than Max already was.
Well,
you know what? You got two titles behind you. Does that make you a bigger deal, Jay? Titles, if the title doesn't mean anything, you don't build the title. Then I can give you one of those two behind you, and it's going to do the same exact thing that it's doing right now for Max.
I was going to say where I'm going to disagree with you is it really depends on what you do with the title as champion, and that was one of the failings the NWA had with Mims. It's a failing they had with Jordan Clearwater too. They put these
failure they had with Tyrus.
They put the title on these guys. They don't give them any big matchups where they can win or get draws. In fact, the first match with Jordan Clearwater and Mims, Clearwater, who was clearly the heel, was about to get the pin when the time limit expired. And so it was like, oh, they went to a time limit draw. Yeah, but the wrong guy was going to win. The wrong guy got cheated out of the victory. And so, why do I want to see a rematch between them now?
Right.
Because I've already seen that Clearwater can beat Mims. He was just screwed by a short time limit, not the other way around. And so my thing is if Mims doesn't look good, the Max doesn't look good. That's the way of the world. I mean, in boxing, we just saw what is his name now? One of the junior TFM Lopez, defend the WBO junior welterweight title.
I don't know boxing.
Well, he's a guy that sometimes he looks like he's one of the top in the world. And other times he looked like he did Saturday, where he barely eked out a victory against a guy that didn't look that good in the ring. And so you end up questioning, well, which guy's going to show up? The guy that beat, the former undisputed champion, or the guy that, can barely beat a person with no
buzz and no reputation and no real record and no marketability. He beat us.
Right.
He beat a tomato can and barely beat him.
Right, and so you're just going. And some people thought he won. The other guy won, although the match, neither one of them were very successful, and it could have gone either way. But it was a boring fight. The guy didn't look convincing, and so he didn't come out of it looking better. He was hoping to break like the top, pound for pound rankings. Well, he ain't going to looking like that, and it's kind of the same way. Max didn't look good. Max got beat up for 60% of the match. And then when he finally and then gets pinned as clean could be. And now I'm supposed to sit there and go, okay, great. Now I want to see Mims go somewhere, do something and, be a champion. No, because obviously you don't know how to book Mims. You didn't book him. You've never booked him right since you've put him in a non-enhancement role because you've continued to use him as enhancement. And it's just so now Mims doesn't. So now Max doesn't come away looking that good because Mims doesn't look good. Well, who do you put Max against for the men's title?
Well,
and by the way, one of the things the announcers did say was that Mims was going to vacate the women's title when he won.
Well, he the week before they showed a very eloquent promo from Mims, one of the best promos he's ever cut. Sure, on the way out, cut a great promo. And he basically said, what am I going to do with the women's title? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to hand it over to the women's division and let them reclaim it and put that to rest, which was a great way to handle the situation, a great way to give themselves an out if Mims were to win, obviously, but that obviously wasn't the plan.
But we all knew he wasn't going to, because you don't have this match if Mims is going to win.
Unless he completely dominates them and then really creates a controversy. At least he can make some money off of that. And anyway, real quick, this is what the territory's for. Now Mims should go somewhere in these territories and actually build itself up. Or more importantly, maybe get the hell away from the NWA and try to actually go somewhere that's going to use them right. But right now, everybody's just going to see them as the guy that lost to Max.
If he were to go to, say, somewhere like NWA, Exodus Pro, and win the Midwest Championship, or maybe he's the guy that dethroned Silas Mason for the Southeast Championship. I mean, that's the only way you could start making those baby steps for Mims to get back to where he'll be a credible opponent on the main roster. But
but he can't even just go back there and win a title with these other things. He basically has to go to, let's just say, Kazana's promotion.
Sure.
So he's got to go to Kazana's promotion. He almost has to start in the mid card.
Yeah, 100%.
Build his reputation back up by getting wins, and then beat somebody, who's top of that promotion, and then come away with that promotion's title. That's why you can't send him down there and have him beat Thrillbilly next month.
No. That's not what I was advocating.
Well, and I didn't think you were, but I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
No,
and that's like. But now my thing is, what do you do with Max? Who does she defend the men's title against? Because you don't put her in to defend the men's title against a top tier men's
challenger.
Why
not?
Well,
because unless that top tier men's challenger completely dominates and creates controversy, it's just going to do the same thing. It's not going to do anything for him. And
let's put it this way: they can put it in, but even a time limit draw at 6:05 with Mims isn't going to make them look good.
No.
And so, I mean, let's say right now you're Thrillbilly. Do you want to go in the ring with Mims and come out with a 6-minute draw?
Do you mean Max?
Yeah. No, if you put Thrillbilly in with Max.
Yeah.
Do you want to go in the ring with Max and come out with a 6-minute and 5
No,
seconds?
but I don't think that's the person you put in the ring because, number one, he's already a champion in another part of the company. Number two, no, he's not the guy. But what if hear me
Mike
out.
Knox, Trevor Murdoch, Matt Cardona, maybe because Matt Cardona wrestles women. But name any of the top tier guys that you think might be worthy of challenging for either the national title and winning, or being a challenger for the world title. You put
What if
any
it was?
of them.
What if it was Tom Latimer?
Well, if I were him, I would quit before I would go in the ring and either lose or I would never lose to Max if I was a top tier guy. And
Well,
if you're
what if it isn't losing? What if it's going in and winning the title?
Well, then that's fine, but they don't get it. They don't gain anything by beating you.
What if all this was a publicity stunt?
I think Latimer has enough trouble with beating women that he doesn't need to be put in that match.
Well, but that is a legitimate thing. You know, that's why in other sports, if you're not Clarissa Shields, who's a moron, you know, the politically correct women that know how to say things like, you know, Ronda Rousey of all of them, go, you know, I don't really want the image of a man and woman fighting and, you know, a man beating up a woman. I don't think that's a good image. And so,
is there anybody in the NWA right now that would benefit from beating Max to become the television champion?
Billy Corgan. Because it'll get him off, and he's probably one of those sick promoters who just enjoys watching women get beat up.
The problem is they're never going to put Max in the ring to get dominated and lose. So then the question becomes, who do they put in to be competitive with Max and still come out with the title?
So there's two ways this ends, right? There's at some point Max will lose to a challenger. Max loses the women's television championship.
Why? Why can't Max just defend it 7 times and vacate them both?
Well, that's where I was going to, is that if Max, because Max already can challenge for the Burke right now without, you know, Max has enough victories to qualify for the Lucky 7 for the women's world championship. Max is starting fresh, has no victories yet as a men's television champion. So if Max goes 7 against the men and qualifies for a matchup with EC3, is that how you end this fiasco?
No.
Because then you're putting on with your world champion. Yeah, here's my fear. At the 76, Max is going to challenge for the women's title on night 1 and the men's title on night 2.
I think the only person who can get away with it, and I don't mean it in a good way, but I mean get away with it, is probably Matt Cardona. Because he's slimy and douchebaggy enough that it could become something. And I mean that as a compliment.
Side note, did you guys see when he was in Australia? It was right after Chelsea Green won the tag titles. And he knew that it was coming, so he had a replica women's title made. And he wore the women's tag team title like a replica in Australia with the fact that, well, we're married, so what's mine is hers and what's hers is mine. So he was claiming to be
one half of the women's tag team champions. Yeah.
Which with Cardona is so like on brand. So maybe that is how you wrap this up. Because I don't think long term they can do this.
Well, I want to address 2 things here in the comments.
Sure.
Vixen's Wrestling Club. No, Thrillbilly crushing Max in a minute does not help him. Because that's what I expect. So, nope, don't help him. Matthew Underwood, they can DKM. Max wins Burke, is beaten up afterwards, defends TV title against the Jizz. What? Okay, so we're saying that in order for her to lose the men's title to a big, huge man, the only way that's feasible is that she gets screwed. Is that...
So big, huge Jedias needs some kind of out.
Jedias needs someone. No,
beat.
That ain't good. That's fucking stupid. Kills Jedias because he can't beat Max. If a man cannot beat Max, and you're trying to sell him as a men's contender, which, despite the fact that they always beat Jedias, they do try to sell him sometimes.
I think I have the solution.
Yes.
And someone said it in the chat. So I'm
Hornswoggle. Oh.
No, Matthew Underwood said it. He said Judias, Tom. No, Kerry Morton. Kerry Morton would be the guy. If Kerry Morton beat Max, right? Like, that's going to be an act of Congress. Kerry Morton is smaller than Max. Hell, he was a junior heavyweight this time last year. If he beat Max, a person who's bigger than him, taller than him, maybe stronger than him, wouldn't that be kind of a remarkable deal if Kerry Morton were able to squeeze out that victory? And he is douchey enough that, like, he's going to brag about beating Max to win that title. And in storyline, it would kind of fit in with his character. He doesn't care how he got to be champion. He's a champion.
I don't.
No.
No?
Who's the
It's
midget
not
from
awful.
Spectacular?
It's not the
There's my
worst.
choice.
It's not the worst idea you've heard tonight, though, right?
No, it is one of the better ideas in that.
That's like saying you're the nicest guy in prison.
Yeah, I mean, basically what it would take. Here's the thing. What do it take to get anything like that over is one, Max would have to beat up Kerry Morton first.
Okay.
I'm just saying in the realm of wrestling. So that would be a match. Max would have to be the face.
Right. Max is the face. Max isn't a heel. The fans cheer Max.
And so Max as a face would have to beat up Kerry Morton, and then Kerry Morton would have to screw her out of the title.
Southern Six, Alex Taylor.
No, all I'm hearing is the burial of Kerry Morton as a serious professional wrestler.
Yeah, I was going to say.
What happened to Rolando? Use that midget versus Max, and then have the midget beat the woman, the non-binary, and then have somebody powerbomb the midget from the Spectaculars. What was his name? Rolando?
Yeah, you had it.
Yeah, have them beat him Diesel Bob Backlund style and then win the TV title. That's slightly less preposterous than everything else you guys are coming up with.
Rolando might be the best option because, like Jaden says, if you do all that with Kerry Morton, you've now killed Kerry Morton as any type of serious person for at least a few years. Not that Kerry Morton's heel character isn't one that kind of kills itself, but right, it's a bad situation. They shouldn't have done it.
So I was watching Kerry Morton last Saturday in a GCW ring, and he was wrestling against Mike Jackson, Action Mike Jackson, a man who's 70 years old. And Morton won, but he had to cheat to win. A man who's 70 years old.
Yeah, see, that doesn't help Kerry Morton at all.
No,
but what I'm saying is it doesn't hurt him either.
Yeah, it does.
How does it hurt him?
All right, let me put Mike Tyson versus, I don't know, Joe Biden. If Mike Tyson fights Joe Biden, beats Joe Biden with an inch of his life, but Joe Biden, or even if he doesn't, if Joe Biden has a competitive fight against Mike Tyson, does that just not 1 bazillion % kill any aura Mike Tyson has?
But are we saying that Kerry Morton at any point in his career will ever be as dominant as a champion that Mike Tyson was? Mike Tyson was the most dominant boxer of his era.
Not the way you book him, shitty. He won't.
Well, the thing is, what do you want to do with Kerry Morton from this point out? Now, Kerry Morton's kind of pulled a Nick Aldis. He's not going after the junior heavyweight title because he wants to be a heavyweight. So there's, a little bit of bullshit there. Basically, they just don't want it. They don't want to beat Kerry Morton. And so, which I don't know why. They could do a rematch and Carino still win and everything would be fine. But they, for whatever reason, they have this thing against beating Kerry Morton. And so if you're willing for Kerry Morton to be a joke wrestler, a comedy wrestler, and look, R-Truth makes a ton of money as a comedy wrestler.
He's also a 2-time former NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
And he's never lost against a woman.
But that was also years. He was a champion during a serious time in his wrestling career. in a younger time. So, now somebody goes, oh, he's such a joke. Why does he do that? I go, I know why he does it, because he looks at his bank account and he goes,
he's also 52 years old.
Exactly. He looks at his bank account and goes, where else can I get this money to do this and go out and entertain people?
Or is he even 52? He's probably like 3,000. He's a vampire.
So Jaden, and I'm asking specifically to you because you are somebody who, obviously, I respect your opinion, but you're very against this idea. In real life, is there ever an instance where you think a woman the size of Max, a non-binary person the size of Max, could beat a male the size of Kerry Morton in an actual fight?
I watched a 350-pound woman beat the crap out of a 105-pound guy. It can happen.
Okay.
That said, if this was an athletic contest, if you were using under athletic rules, they would have to be. Fortunately, it would have to be in the same weight class. On a weight class, I'd say the man would win 99 times out of 100 if they have the same everything else, same skill level, same everything else. The guy would win. I've also watched a 120-pound soaking wet Andy Kaufman wrestle a woman twice his size and beat her too.
So then let me ask you my next question, because it was a two-parter here. So with that being said, in a fight that is not a competitive match, a fight, a backroom brawl, a locker room spillover, outside in the parking lot, if Kerry were to confront Max and upset Max, do you think that there's a chance Kerry Morton might come up on an ass whooping?
I haven't seen Max enough to know.
Okay.
So I can't truly give you an honest opinion. I believe there's a size difference weight-wise, but I believe Kerry has the height.
I'll you know what? I'll look into that right now, but you go ahead and keep talking.
There's a chance anybody can beat anybody. Again,
Sure.
I watched a person 5'5" beat the crap out of somebody who was 6'4" and jacked and muscular. But the thing is, that 5'5" person was one of the most athletic and tough people there is. And in a fight game, there's always the puncher's chance. But
so
if it was a shoot match and it was a shoot wrestling match, I think Kerry Morton would definitely win.
All right, so just here's the statistics based on Wikipedia. Don't put too much stock in it. You never know how accurate Wikipedia is. They
starting to sound like the guy from Canada that bleeds on everybody. I saw Wikipedia.
They build Max the Impaler at 5'10" and 209 pounds. Cage match has Kerry Morton at 5'11" and 191 pounds. So the height advantage isn't that massive, and the weight difference is about
20 pounds,
less than 20 pounds.
20 pounds can mean a lot in an amateur wrestling event, a match, and it can mean a lot in a boxing match when it comes to power. But I think the 20 pounds in this type of thing, I think Kerry still would have the advantage.
Okay, look. Everything that's been said in this chat, everything that's been said on this video, what it comes down to is this was stunt booking. This was to get eyeballs on CW. Whether that's worked or not, I don't know, because they're not releasing views or whatever that hasn't been announced. But
it's not trending. I looked at the CW app because I was bored today, in between just trying to wait until my classes start. Yeah. And I looked on the CW app to see if there's anything I wanted to watch. And all the trending things, there's 20 trending things, and none of them were the NWA.
There you go. This was a bad move.
Well, let me throw in, here's the closest thing we have to realistic battles between men and women in a sporting event. Marathons.
Sure.
All right. Men and women run together. Okay. No woman has ever beat a man in a marathon yet. Not saying it won't happen one day. I'm just saying yet. No. And the man normally, the last time the man won about just over 2 hours, and the woman won in, I think it was like 2:21. Yeah, 2:21. And so there's about a 20-minute time difference between the man and the woman. Now, there are several other men that finish in between when the first man wins and when the first woman wins. Most men finish behind the woman. So, yes, depending on athletic ability and everything, there is a chance that there's every chance. I mean, Ronda Rousey probably could beat, or back in the day, probably could have beaten a lot of the top 10 guys. Not all of them, but probably a lot of them, And so, is it possible? Sure. But if you're in a thing where you're trying to get a top guy versus a top female non-binary, we'll put it like that, chances are, and they're quote unquote pretty much evenly matched, chances are you're going to get a male victory most of the time.
Can we all agree that we don't like it?
Yes, we can all agree that.
Can we all agree it's stunt booking? Yes. Can we all agree it's somebody who does not understand wrestling, who thinks he knew? Why does everybody who thinks they know and watch about wrestling history don't have a clue about actually how to work this? How come, like, the people, like, everybody talks about how much Tony Khan was an observer reader and everything like that. He doesn't seem to understand this. Maybe it's because the people who don't really get into wrestling, don't understand how wrestling works and try booking it. It's kind of like somebody who doesn't understand brain surgery and tries to do it.
With that being said, I think now's a good stopping place to move on to the next thing. Oh, hey, it's my wife. Thank you.
Now, I 100% believe your wife could beat you up, Jay.
She definitely could.
Yeah, we all believe that.
Yes.
DK, you know, huh?
I know you're sweet and loving, and that if Jay ever stepped out of line, that you would knock his head off. Notice she doesn't disagree.
You probably
Jay
French
doesn't
fries.
either.
What do you want me to say? In and out.
No,
French
I'm saying
fries.
her. I said, she doesn't disagree.
Oh.
But
There's a lot of people that pay a lot of money for that.
I have met Michelle. She's a lovely woman.
Jaden.
I told him you're coming on when we hit 5,000. You're going to host the show that night.
Yes,
When you
and
hit
we're looking forward.
5,000 subs.
What am I supposed to say, guys?
You're just going to let them talk.
Okay.
We'll do the same thing we normally do: insult Jay and talk about wrestling.
You want me to just sit there and look pretty while you guys talk about wrestling?
If that's what you want to do.
It's what I'm really good at.
It couldn't hurt the views.
I was going to say, it wouldn't hurt.
He took me to see. Actually, no, I took him to see Tool.
I'm jealous.
I took him to see Tool at the Staples Center in Los Angeles.
Fuck Staples, but go ahead.
I know. I'm not a fan of.
It's a crypto
arena.
Yeah.
I don't like Los Angeles, but it was a fun night.
Yeah, I love Tool. I always have this inside joke with Jay. Who do you like better? Tool? Who's better, Tool or Perfect Circle?
Oh, Jay actually said that last night that you said that, and I like a Perfect Circle more than I like Tool.
I like them both, but it's funny how they're the same, but they're also different.
Yeah, Perfect Circle is more commercial.
Yeah, it is more commercial, but I love both though. I think they need to do a concert together.
We're gonna see Perfect Circle later this year too.
They're playing with Pussifer, and I'm not a fan of Pussifer.
No, Primus. You don't like Primus.
Primus.
Yeah. Can we
My
say
name
that?
is Mud.
It's a band. It's supposed to be Pussifer, like Lucifer with a P.
Sure,
Okay.
right.
Toodles. Bye, guys.
Toodles.
I bought you stuff.
You did?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What are you eating, Jay?
In and out French fries.
I want French fries. I still want French fries.
All right. So yeah, my wife is awesome. She took me to go see Tool last night. It was amazing. I very much enjoyed watching that band. It was my third time seeing them. Couldn't record any video because the lead singer threatened to walk out if anyone filmed, so everyone was on their best behavior.
He didn't threaten to walk out. He threatened to shit in your mouth. Remember, he said shit in
You
your
can't
mouth.
say that on YouTube,
Poop
honey.
in your mouth and poop in your mouth and poop in your mouth.
Again, there's people that pay a lot of money for that too.
Jesus Christ.
That's oh well.
When I used to fix computers, the guy came into this.
No. He said when I used to fix computers.
Been there and done that.
I worked at Best Buy, and there was more than one time we had to call and have people arrested for what was on their computers. I want to talk about that.
This wasn't arrested. We just had to worry about his health and this everything. Let's just say this guy who looked like Grimace, if Grimace was white instead of purple, was dressed as a gimp, and this 500-pound African American woman who was very dressed in every kind of dominatrix outfit possible with spiked high heels.
Before you go any further, remember that Billy watches this show, and I don't really want a gimp 2. And
you already got one. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm about to say he was probably seeing those pictures too.
No, I said gimp 2.
Oh,
we have a gimp 1 who's a small guy. I don't want him to bring in a gimp 2 that's following this description, because I think
like a dominatrix. If you have a gimp, you need a dominatrix.
I think Billy would go.
Sinister Minister is the gimp's dominatrix.
No,
that worries me.
He's more like his pimp. You got to pimp the gimp.
James is right. They officially just turned off the monetization on this podcast.
Well,
good night, everybody.
So
again, our views went up 7,000%. No.
Yeah, but they don't pay for it.
Is there anything else we want to talk about? What else is happening in the world?
So,
anything else happened on Power that's worth talking about?
Well, look, we didn't get to it, but Silas Mason had an excellent match against Birchill. And what I liked so much about that match was we haven't seen a whole lot of Birchill in the NWA. Hell, he hasn't been a regular competitor on TV for like 14 years.
I was going to say, can I make a confession?
Yeah.
I don't really know who he is. I mean, maybe I did back when he was first wrestling.
He was like, he had a pirate gimmick, and like he was supposed to be with his sister, and they were going to do the whole incest angle.
Maybe I'm not upset that
he started off as William Regal's tag partner, and then they found out he was related to some pirate. Similar to what they did with Jean-Pierre Lafitte, I think. And then, then they brought him to Cody Lee Burchill, who was an incredibly talented women wrestler and had some of the prettiest eyes I've ever seen in person.
You haven't seen my wife's eyes yet.
Not in person.
Okay, so sorry. So that match was good. It's a very good match. And it told the story of a guy who had a lot of ring rust, getting this golden opportunity, was not prepared for it, and was competitive, but at the end of the day, Silas Mason kind of handed him his ass. And that's how it should have been.
Katie Lee, was that the woman?
Yeah,
Katie Lee Burchill. Yeah.
Okay.
Very talented woman wrestler.
I think she wrestled in Impact as Winter.
Yeah, I believe she did.
Yes.
By the way, what's that Mecha Wolf thing that you just put in the Dubby Cup in front of?
Oh, I was telling, I don't know if I said it on the air or not, but so I saw my pal Mecha Wolf over the weekend, real quick.
Also noticed the shirt too. Cheap plug.
Yeah. Well, look, Mecha Wolf has not only been on this show, but he's hooked me up. Mexico City, he got me into his show for free. He's always been very kind to this show. Gave his time for the interview. Like I said, has always made himself available. Has even, he's talked to me offline at events as well. Always been kind to me. So I had an opportunity. I went to a show that he was at over the weekend. It was in my backyard. He was wrestling a talent by the name of the Lucha scumbag Chris Nasty. In fact, I want to get Chris Nasty on the show at some point, because he's very talented, and I think he's about to blow up. I think he's going to be like one of the next big things in SoCal. Anyways, so what Mecha Wolf has is, he has an aspiring music career. Monster Wolf is on Spotify. You could listen to their album there. You could download the album if you go to the link tree.
Shame they're not doing the official theme song for the alliance-wrestling.com. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
I mean, I could talk to him about that. That might be something that's cool. Jammin' Music Man says he also has a T-shirt on the website. Yeah, and that's through the NWA. This is his T-shirt, though. This is what he sells at live events. It's
I'm
funny
going to get one of them. I like that.
It's a dope shirt. And number two, so
we're all stars here in a dope shirt. Oh,
so we're talking, and like, all right. I do have friends outside of the world of professional wrestling. I do. In fact, I dragged them with me to a wrestling show over the weekend. They grew up watching wrestling, but they don't follow it closely at all. They won't watch a pay-per-view. If it's on, they'll be interested. But you gotta it's like leading a horse to water. Whether it drinks or not is entirely up to the horse. So they were like, yeah, let's go. We're gonna go to the show. It was a free show. It was like literally 30 minutes away from my house. We all met up. We went to the show, had a great time. I'm telling them about some of the people I know in wrestling. And I'm like, well, yeah, like this guy, Mecha Wolf, he's very talented, former 2-time NWA World Tag Team Champion. I've probably seen him wrestle more in Mexico than I have anywhere else in the world. And so we're just enjoying this conversation. And then we get inside and they have like a meet and greet area where they're selling stuff. Not a lot of places in California have that before a show. Sometimes they'll do it at intermission, but this was before the show. They literally had everyone set up to sell merchandise and all that other stuff. So we come over and start talking, and Mecha Wolf recognizes me immediately, gives me the bro handshake and everything. And now my buddies are kind of impressed. Like, oh, wow, you really do know these guys. I'm like, yeah, I'm not lying about it. And so I wanted to buy the shirt because it's a dope shirt. This is going to be part of my gym repertoire. And he's also selling like these, they call it says a dual language coloring storybook, a lexicographic press. And so it's literally like a coloring book about how Mecha Wolf became Mecha Wolf. And it's
his origin story.
It is. It's an origin story that's a coloring book, and it's in Spanish and English, so it can help kids learn their a foreign language. I bought it just because I thought it was cool that it's something that he was trying to sell. Plus, it was a combo pricing, so it was like a win-win situation. So that was all cool to me. It was a fun time. My friend sat down, and then I went back and talked to Mecha Wolf a little bit more. Just to kind of show you the person he is. Like, you guys know that I recently started going to the gym, and he was, hey man, I can tell you look like you've lost some weight. I'm like, hey, thanks. I've started. I'm not really where I want to be, but yeah, I appreciate that. And then he was like, trying to be inspiring. He was like, hey man, it's just baby steps. You gotta walk before you can. It's kind of cool stuff. He doesn't owe me that kind of a conversation. So it was really cool that he took the time to do that.
He is true. And I'm also going to teach you a really helpful hint.
Yeah. Forget
the scale.
That, yes, you're right. And I know this, it's not my first rodeo, but yeah, I know that you don't need to obsess about the scale. You need to obsess about how your body feels and be.
How's your pants feel? If they're falling off easier, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so like I said, good dude. That was a cool show. And then, like I said, that show also featured Fuego del Sol, protege of Mr. Cody Rhodes. The Brian Kendrick was there, which is funny because now Brian Kendrick is in Australia wrestling for pole jump. It's just so crazy that our proud pole jump is still promoting shows out in Australia, flying in Brian Kendrick. So evidently he's doing something right.
I told him to put his money where his mouth is, and he did.
Yeah, no. And indirectly, you inspired him to do that. Like you and DKM, not really me, but even Marquez kind of got in his ear a little bit. And he's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And then he did. So obviously I'm stalling till DK gets back, but
let's talk bad about him since he's not here. Oh wait, that's what we did for you. Never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's gimmick infringement. It was a very good show. The company name is called Valley Wrestling Connection. It's actually ran by a friend of mine, helps promote it too. And it was a very fun show. I hope that they continue to bring in the bigger names, because where they ran is a smaller, more I don't want to say impoverished, but it's not a fancy neighborhood, right? Like, this was a big deal for that community, and it was a free event, which even made it cooler. So yeah, I was very happy to support it, and again, trying to help the talents who were there, hopefully offsetting some of their costs. But getting back to
Is Michelob still living in Florida?
No, he lives in Tijuana.
Oh.
So he told me, he goes, I've been here since 6 o'clock this morning. I guess there was a mix up on what time call time was supposed to be. So he was there very early, and I'm like, it's a 2-hour drive back home and a 2-hour drive back. I get not wanting to do the 4 hours and then another 2 hours back home when it's over, but I don't know if I'd want to sit there all day either. Anyway, anyway, so the next topic we were going to talk about tonight was, and I think we're still going to talk about it, is, well, let's change gears a little bit, because we spent so much time on the NWA. Something I was curious about, and Jane, I'd love to hear your answer, and we'll get DK's when he comes back, is EC3 beat Matt Cardona. That matchup had almost no build. They put it in an ultimate match of death because Matt Cardona proclaims to be the indie match death god, right? Indie death match god. I said it wrong. Anyways, that seemed very that the whole point of that match had zero build, and it was I think someone even said it like shindy. It was a shindy moment, because there was no build for this in a traditional sense, where, like, it had Cardona came in and said, hey, look, I never lost the belt and I want that match. And then they had the match and it ended in disqualification. Then there's a natural progression to build up to that death match. There was nothing like this. It was just, oh, hey, we're going to have our first one-on-one encounter in this company. I don't know. Let's put a death match to it. So it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm curious, like, when looking up and down the roster, and I would love to hear both of your answers. Jaden, who's going to be the next challenge for the 10 pounds of gold in the NWA? Is it Mr. Outside Hire, or is there somebody within the roster you think could be a qualified challenger for the 10 pounds of gold?
All right. If I was in charge, my 6-month plan would be, I would have had these challengers built up, and I would have built up. One thing you always want to do is you give a rematch against the former champion, which isn't going to happen. So then the next thing you do is you have anybody who's considered a top 8 challenger should be built up. And the first ones that you get the match to help solidify that champion is former champions. So I would have built up Cardona and built up that match so they would have had something. And it wouldn't have been a Lego death match or whatever the hell the stupid thing was called. And I would have built up Trevor Murdoch as a former champion. And then maybe that TV champion that I was building up for a while. And then Tim Storm is another example, and then maybe Three Belly would have to be the last challenger, but not from the talent, but because of how he was treated getting to building that title up, and how the national title was basically thrown down and devalued for him to win it. But if I would have done it, Thrillbilly would have beat Cardona. Would have beat EC3 for the national championship, and then we would have had a natural challenger. And then Jack Staines, another good example, great example. And then there's also people in the interim, like Kratos and like Odinson and like I don't know who else is on the roster. I probably would have had a better roster too, but still.
Murdoch, Knox, even though they're currently tag teaming.
Yeah, but doesn't matter. They're Murdoch, especially former champion. Knox, former #1 contender.
They had Jay Bradley, I think was his first televised match after winning the title. And I like that because Jay Bradley, I feel, is like very underrated in the NWA. And we saw a different Jay Bradley in the ring. And it's like, man, can we get that again? Let's run it back. That would have been a lot of fun to see, given more time too,
Early Jay Bradley reminded me of, and this is a compliment, it might not sound like it, but Justin Hawk Bradshaw.
No, that's a compliment. That's a huge compliment.
Or somebody called him Stan Hansen Light. which honestly is Justin Hawk Bradshaw. But yeah, Bradley's always been very talented and very underrated. You know who's more talented than he gets credit for? Another one's Reckon Bolligerski. He could have had a good television main event for that. You got to have television guys built up with a bunch of wins, and then pay-per-view guys built in with a bunch of wins, and then maybe somebody outside the NWA. Like I like the guy from OVW, Shira. I think he could have been great. Maybe some more guys from OVW to try to capitalize. Even I think it's a little too late now on that Netflix deal they had for a while.
So who then if you had to narrow it down to one person, who would be the next person you'd put in an NWA ring against EC3?
I would have had him built up for a while for this match, but it probably would have been Trevor Murdoch. And then I would be at the same time, the next one under that would have been Jack Steen.
Now the same question to you, DK. Who would you have put in? We're heading towards hard times. There's a lot of TV that's going to happen before we get to hard times. And of course, we won't even see hard times until probably close to, April. So who would you put in the ring against EC3 for hard times?
Hard times? Man, that's hard because there isn't anybody that's just a natural fit. Probably, since they haven't, unless they're planning on putting the tag team titles on them, I would probably do Trevor Murdoch. Again, somebody who's never really just had a clean-cut rematch for the championship since he lost it. So, I mean, he would be the best. Yeah, I think Trevor will probably be the best object in my mind.
Is Latimer still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Latimer will actually be on TV next week, and he'll be taking on Brian Idol. And again,
so I would have built up Latimer. He's a big guy with some talent.
I think Latimer would have been a good choice, but so far they haven't done anything to build him up. Just like you guys said with Trevor, build him up. Yeah, Latimer is a guy that could definitely benefit from going on a win streak and then challenging EC3.
Outsider, I would go Shelton Benjamin.
Ooh, that's a great answer. I know Shelton Benjamin's going to be wrestling out here for Prestige, I think next month. DK, you look like you want to say something.
Well, I'm trying to find something because, you never know how it goes. I thought, yeah, here it is. Thank you to Grant Pierce for sponsoring the main event of NWA Hard Times. Now we need to know who should go into the cage. So apparently the main event at Hard Times is going to be a cage match just for the purpose of it being a cage match. And they want to know who should be in a cage match for no reason. So who do we want to see in a cage match for no reason at Hard Times in the main event? Doesn't even say it has to be the World Championship. It just says it's the main event. So
action figure booking.
So somebody out there in the great thing, tell me who should be main event cage match at Hard Times. I'm going to say, because if you're going to do something like this, I'm going to say the main event should be the NWA World Tag Team titles, Blunt Force Trauma versus Murdoch and Knox. Murdoch's, because yes, Scooby's reading my mind.
Well, that's why Scooby is Booker of the Year for the fantasy booking.
So if you're going to present the question like that, that's my answer.
Okay. Fatu, Hammerstone, and Holiday. There you go. Shelton Benjamin. Billy, open up the wallet, get a real booker, hire me. I don't care. I'll take the job. I'll definitely show you what I can do, and I'll tell you everything. You'll hate me because I won't agree with you on anything. And I also don't really like the Smashing Pumpkins, even though your new song is a banger.
I found out I'm seeing the Smashing Pumpkins again.
Or
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Have they figured out why you're having these hallucinations, or?
I'm gonna see him with Green Day. The hits just keep coming, brothers.
Yeah, you walk that lonely road.
Hey, wake
The
me
only
up.
one you ever known.
Wake me up when September ends.
Yeah, just don't be an American idiot.
Dookie.
I love how you really had to force yourself to get that out because you could. It's like
It's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know what she sees in me, guys. I don't. All right, I'm just putting it out there.
That's okay. Neither do we.
I think it's because you're an internet celebrity.
Or maybe it's because I have money, guys. It's the money. It's all that W money that's coming in. Sean Mega says, put Kenzie Page and Markova in the steel cage. I mean, that's not a bad idea either. The match, let me rephrase it. I want to know who you think is going to face EC3. Jaden came up with Shelton Benjamin as his main outside pick, and an inside pick, you were saying Trevor
Murdoch
Murdoch
should be next.
Who should be?
Murdoch should be next, even though they don't build him up for it. But there's nobody really, honestly. Dane is less built than Murdoch, even though he's talented as hell. Yeah. And Storm, I don't even, has he wrestled a singles match since he almost paralyzed himself? I don't know. And Wrecking Ball's talented, but they never built him up. And I think he already beat the big tall dude. What was his name? The one they were talking about beating up women? Or beating up Max? He wanted to beat up Max? Talos, yeah. Did he beat up Talos recently?
Or are you talking about Judas?
I don't know. All those tall guys look alike.
I don't know.
We were talking about Judas, but Talos is the current big guy.
So
EC3 did beat Talos recently, didn't he?
I'll let you know that right now. Give me just a second.
Did he have Jason and the Argonauts to help him?
Probably.
I had nothing to do with it.
So you claim.
So in EC3's last few matches, he's beaten the Boar from VCW, Matt Cardona.
Talk about another Boar.
Yeah. He won the Premier title by defeating Matt Cardona at GLCW Blizzard Brawl. He beat Fodder in Exodus Pro. He beat Fodder at AML.
Why does he beat Mutter?
That's a great
or is
question.
that Max?
He beat Jack Stain at the Return to Robarts. He beat Alex Royal at the in Claremore, Oklahoma. He beat Talos in Nashville for Power. He defeated Tom Latimer at Samhain. He defeated Crowbar at Outlaw Wrestling. He defeated Delson Alexander in Buffalo, New York. He defeated Jay Bradley for Power, and then he won the title from Tyrus. So yeah,
it's a pretty impressive list.
It's not bad, and there's more actually. That's just what cage match list. But
you book him by cage match again?
Yeah,
checking on star ratings or whatever. What the 32 fans say.
Yeah. With that being said, my choice is outside hire. I think you strike while the iron's hot. Get a guy like Nick Nemeth in there. Nick has said that he wants to wrestle everybody everywhere, so he would be a good choice. But I also would be totally fine if it was Hammerstone or if it was Jacob Fatu or if it was Richard Holiday, somebody of a higher caliber. Right now, the NWA has done nothing to build up a single competitor for the 10 pounds of gold. I feel like it's like deja vu all over again. We were talking about this with Tyrus when he was world champion, that they haven't built anybody up to take that belt off of him. And
OVW builds up people to take him on. Why can't NWA?
Because that's not the way Billy books.
He's not a booker. He's a matchmaker. Stop calling him a booker.
Chris Drummond and I were having a discussion.
That's not the way he makes matches. Then.
Chris Drummond and I were having a conversation earlier today about the NWA and going to Philadelphia. And he says, Jay, if Billy takes the NWA to 2,300, that's an ego move. And I corrected him and I said, everything that Billy does in wrestling is an ego move. Tell me what he's done that's been a smart business decision.
When he got the the guy from the Roseanne and the Connors to do the voiceover for the John Goodman. When he got him to do the voiceover for that pay-per-view, that was kind of cool.
That was
fair.
Notice it's not really wrestling related.
No, but EC, but that's the point. Like, in terms of wrestling decisions, in terms of long-term booking, Billy doesn't book for the fans. Fuck the fans. Like, he didn't say that, but he might as well have.
I think that goes back to what we said about, why I would argue so much when Tyrus was champion. People go, oh, well, it's the great experiment. Oh, they're doing this because he's on. No, they weren't doing it because he was on Fox. He was TV champion for a year on Fox. They were doing it because Billy liked Tyrus. It was one of his boys.
Yep.
And that was the reason. There was no experiment. There was no, people go, oh, the title was on Super Bowl commercial. Okay. Title's on a Super Bowl commercial.
They just confuse them for the Goodyear blimp. That doesn't count.
Yeah, I was going to say, they still got 200 buys as one of their top pay-per-view buys, according to credible sources. By credible, I mean people from PW Insider. So, don't tell me that was a positive thing. The King.
Maybe if we had another King Harley race, that's what we need.
We do. It's called Trevor Murdoch.
I mean, what?
Not wrong.
What we need is Billy is kind of like one of the same problems I have with MLW, which, we're talking about one time. I go, MLW puts on every type of match. And so, the idea is there's something there for everybody, but the problem is I don't want to sit through everything else to get to the one I like. Except for with Billy, it's not necessarily on a card. It's like a TV set of tapings. Some things are good, and you go, oh, hey, this is really cool. This is going somewhere. And then the next set of tapings, you go, what the fuck? We're right back to the crap that he had beforehand.
Yep.
And and that's why, again, nothing against, Dave Marquez. But when we go, oh, Billy has a plan, or, he comes, I think he has an idea. I think he writes things down.
I don't. I think all that went out the window about 5 years ago.
No, I mean, I think when he goes, I think he has an idea when he goes into the thing, but I don't think he has a plan. And, and of course, I've always, dumped on 20-year plan because there's no such thing. And
everybody had a plan against Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
he punched him in the mouth.
There, you got a plan until he punches you in the face, and that's what
the pandemic did to the NWA.
It's like it's like if he has a plan, it's something that he's like come up with in the last 10 minutes, and then you go into, and it's like the only thing that the best part of NWA is the women's, and I guess he gives up enough control in the women's thing, puts in people who know what they're doing, because the women's has been the best wrestling in the NWA for a long, long time now. Even all of that makes sense, but at least, a lot of it, they put top talent in there, and, they put on good matches, and I give all the credit to Jazz. And I told Jazz one time, I gave her all the credit, and she said, well, it's the talent, and she was very humble about it. And I go, I think you have at least a little bit to do with it. And whatever happened to Medusa? Is she still around? Does she still do anything with them? Is she still behind the scenes?
I don't think so, but this just handed to me. The pre-party will return to being live before NWA programming, because apparently NWA Joe Kazana Promotions will now be debuting. Oh, I read it wrong. Never mind. It's Thursdays. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Joe Kazana Promotions will be running their program, and the first season starts on February the 22nd.
There's something I might want to watch. Make Joe Kazana the booker.
Yeah.
I could go with that.
I think, and I said this,
Maybe you can move the pre-party to Thursday and we can move to Tuesday.
I definitely can't do Tuesday.
Oh, you whine too much.
I could barely do Thursday.
Well, we're thinking about doing one on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Will that work for you? That's the old time. That was the old time that we used to do the show.
Ooh.
That was good times.
Good times.
All right. What we were supposed to talk about, we're
Florida
running a little bit late. So, DK, do you want to save this for next week or do we want to hit it now?
Hit it now. Get done and over with, like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Well, we were going to talk about, did the WWE work the fans or did they cave into their demands when it comes to the WrestleMania main event?
I think we can do this pretty quick.
Okay, then let's
here's the question. I want to get Jaden's view on it first. So there are some people out there claiming that the plan all along that's been talked about since in January was that they were going to pull this swerve. And Meltzer and some people like that were basically going through with that. Whereas, or making those claims. And then people like Sean Ross Sapp goes, well, if that was the case, they left out telling some very important people because they didn't know about it, supposedly. And I don't know who Sean Ross Sapp talks to. He may talk to a lot of people. He certainly seems to know quite a bit of stuff that comes out of WWE. So anyway, you got two of the top dirt sheet people, giving some confusing stuff. So have the fans been worked? Was the plan always to substitute Rock and then pull it away to get Cody more over? Although I don't know how Cody was already pretty over. Or was this something that fell apart? Rock came in, to get on the board, he wanted to main event WrestleMania. They put in the big switch and the fans said, F you. And they immediately changed their mind very quickly, which changing your mind is one thing. Changing how quickly has happened is a little odd. So, Jaden, was it a work or did the fans cause WWE to blink?
I want to answer that question with the most easiest answer. Yes. And I'll explain why. I believe that Endeavor got word that something was going to drop with McMahon, and that's why they put Rock on the board of directors as a publicity stunt.
Yes.
I believe The Rock needed it. I believe that Endeavor needed it. I believe TKO needed it. I know that WWE needed it. So now the McMahon stuff drops, and everything's talking about him. So they started thinking like, well, you know what? The Rock, let's put him in the main event. And I think that was the thought. Like The Rock probably, what I would guess, I don't know, I'm just guessing, probably came up with the idea of, let's distract them by putting me in the main event. I don't think they were ready for the reaction that they were going to get. I don't think that they expected it. And I think I think probably people in the company did, but I don't think Endeavor and The Rock, they just see the UFC style booking of the biggest match possible. And that was the biggest match possible that they saw because of the name value. I think that they saw what happened and they decided to then work the fans and play into it more. And that's when The Rock went from going the smiling little baby face and, I'm going to finish my story, but not at WrestleMania, but here's my friend, to The Rock going on and calling the Cody Crybabies, which is such a dumb name thing. It's so childish, but turning heel and getting over as a heel and turning and making those fans go and making fun of those fans, those same passionate fans that were wanted Cody, to get everybody to get onto that Cody bandwagon. And I think what they did is, yes, it was originally planned for The Rock or Cody and Roman, and then they did the switch as some way to draw attention away from the McMahon stuff, and it worked well, just not the way they were expecting. So they flipped it and decided to work the fans and work this as part of the deal. And I think they did an excellent job about it. Heel Hollywood Rock. First of all, who the hell did he learn how to act? And I think right now this is, as long as they don't overdo it and make it shoved down people's throat, I think this is the best thing they could possibly doing. The WWE is not perfect. I mean, if only they can get the wrestling on par with the actual with the personality. But Jerry Jarrett in the USWA said this: personal issues draw money. This draws money. The thing with Becky and and Rhea, that can draw money. This thing with Bailey and
Io.
What's the group called?
Damage
Control or
Damage Control.
Yeah, I think that can draw money, and I think this is what it is right now. Say what you will, but since Out of Touch McMahon, the original screw fans over, who cares what they think? At least now, at least later into that, is gone. The WWE has been in a lot better position, and I think even with TKO, it's been in a lot better position. And I think this is something that they need. All they need now is a special guest referee, and Cena's not doing anything.
Ooh. DK, I mean, you posed the question. Would you like to give your 2 cents?
Yes. Let me let a dog out.
Oof, 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 oof. DK let the dog out. Oof,
yep.
Oof, oof, oof.
That's right. Basically, I'm pretty close to what Jaden was thinking. I think there's a lot of. I have a feeling that probably since January they may have been planning to put Rock in. That's kind of my thing, or that it would at least be a possibility. I mean, when Rock first dropped that, sit at the head of the or whatever. So they were already sneaking in. And let's remember, fans popped big for that when he first said it.
Can I add one thing to that? Because it only helps you make your case.
Sure.
Remember when he went on the Pat McAfee show? I want to say it was like in maybe November or December of last year. And he said, oh, yeah, we were going to do WrestleMania, but we just couldn't make it work. And it stole a lot of thunder from Cody's run, even before this year's Rumble. It vastly made it seem like Cody's story is very insignificant to the big picture of the WWE. And of course, the best place for Rock and Roman would be WrestleMania in Hollywood, but we just couldn't make it together. So we might do it at 40. He was dropping hints, like, again, late last year about that.
Yeah, and so I think WWE, going back to McMahon, has always thought to themselves, if they can get Rock and Roman, that you put that on. Now, where some people justifiably got mad was that if this had been the idea since the middle of January or whatever, why don't you sneak Rock into the Royal Rumble and let him win?
Number 30 could have came in and tossed out. Could have tossed out, the surging superstar CM Punk, who he stole from the rival promotion. Could have tossed out the golden boy Cody and been leveraged to be, all right, I'm going against Roman, and I threw out your two main guys who could have opposed me.
Right, and so it's it was that something they could have done something, and so I feel like they were doing everything they could to kind of head towards a Rock versus Roman main event. And I think if anybody else had been set up as the challenger to Roman Reigns, they probably could have got away with it. But fans are still pissed off about last year. Fans were ready last year for Cody to win the title. And they want that. They feel invested in it. and they feel like they've had to piddle around for a year to let other things happen so that they could get back there. And so you're promised that on Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember which night it ran.
Saturday.
And then on the following Friday, it's taken away from you. And let's remember, the fans were popping when Rock first came out.
Yeah, but it's a surprise pop. Different thing.
Well, but I mean, even for the idea that he was going to be facing Roman, I mean, but it's when you sit back and you start thinking about it and you go, well, fuck, that ain't what I want. I've been waiting on Cody. And so everybody's trying to figure out, well, how can we do this? And if they really wanted to do that, the problem is what you have in both Rock and Roman is people who don't wrestle.
Yeah.
And it's not like you just add to the Australian show, go, oh, well, Cody's going to call his shot from the Royal Rumble. Okay, he's giving up his WrestleMania main event, but he's still getting his title shot because he's going to do it at, the Australian pay-per-view. Elimination Chamber, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so, he wins there and wins the title, and all the U.S. fans are mad because it happened in Australia and they didn't get to see it. And, now Rock and Roman is just going to be for the head of the table at WrestleMania. So when you got people who don't wrestle, there's not much, you kind of limit your options. So I do think that probably in the end, when they saw the fan backlash, they go, well, hell, if we play this right, this will be bigger than Rock versus Roman.
Yeah, and here's the thing why I don't think he won the Rumble. A, if he's in the Rumble, it takes away from that special appearance.
Yep.
B, he's The Rock. He gets hurt taking a crap, pulls a muscle, eating 9 pounds of pancakes, and flapjacks, and pie.
With protein and poutine.
So why risk him getting hurt and not be able to wrestle in the Mania? Plus, who knows? Walter will chop him once.
Well, because CM Punk was the one that got hurt.
I know, of all people. I think that also played into why I think The Rock wanted to be part of the thing, because with CM Punk hurt, they lost another big draw, big match.
Well, I think you both hit it on the head when we talked about, the WWE needed something to curb the headline, because remember, Vince is just one piece of this whole equation of this lawsuit. There's still people in the WWE who have been named in the lawsuit, as well as the WWE itself. And if at some point during this discovery, it turns out that there was a creature of not a creature, that's not the right word, a culture of allowing inappropriateness to happen, then that means everyone that knew about this, that was turning their head the other way, they all got to go. And Emmanuel Ari, I think, the owner of Endeavor, has already kind of made it known that heads will roll as much as they have to. And that even includes somebody like Triple H. By putting The Rock out there, the fans aren't talking about Vince McMahon anymore. They're not talking about the lawsuit. They're talking about The Rock. They're talking about Cody. It was a great way to just spin the tail and get the fans to look at something else. Wag the tail, excuse me. So now that you have that matchup, at least that principle, that idea, and I think you kind of hit it on the head too, DK, when you said, look, they were so pissed that you took away from Cody's story that now they demanded the match that they already had. It was already their match. Now they're demanding it because of Rock's involvement, and it just made it so much hotter. I thought, and I still think this, you will draw more casual viewers to watch this WrestleMania by putting Rock and Roman in the main event. I don't care what anyone says. My wife doesn't watch wrestling with me, but she will watch if The Rock is on TV. She will check it out. And
Sure,
go ahead.
I was going to say, let's remember, WrestleMania used to not be about wrestling.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing when it started was celebrity focus.
Yes.
How many celebrities can we get there to draw in different people? Now, over the years,
Best one they ever had was Ron this year from USA's Up All Night.
And so, I mean, that went for years, and occasionally they would redo it where they bring in celebrities. I mean, Muhammad Ali was once a guest referee just to be outside the ring and everything. So yeah, I mean, if you're going back to like WrestleMania and what it was, Rock is certainly a better option. But, they couldn't risk something Billy should learn. You can't risk pissing off your base in an effort to draw the casual. And I think they figured that out. And look, optics is everything. Now, you guys can't see it, but Jay sent Jaden and I something for AEW Dynamite.
Can I pull it up?
Pull it up.
Give me just a second. Keep stalling.
Okay. So this is optics and what you're trying to say and what it looks like you're saying. And if you're not careful, you do stupid things that are going to be highly misinterpreted. And I'm assuming that this was actually misinterpreted. Jay, hurry up. I'm almost off. Okay. So it's kind of hard to see there, but it says AEW Dynamite 200. Thank you, Tony Khan. Now, what I assume this is Tony Khan supposed to be a signature. Thank you from Tony Khan. The way it reads is, thank you, Tony Khan, for giving us 200 episodes of Dynamite.
It's kind of like Michael Scott with the world's best boss mug.
That's exactly what it says in the thing.
In the description. So yeah, it's one of those things. And obviously Marvin Movie Monster, I think legit has interpreted it that way. And when I first read it, I legit interpreted it that way. And then I was just looking at it. Yeah, it's a very huge mistake. And I was just looking at it and I was starting to think, I go, why would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? And then I started thinking, I go, oh, I bet that's supposed to be from Tony Khan, that, like signing something, thank you, sign, Jay or Devin or Jaden or whatever.
The Alliance guys.
I'm on the other side. I think it's actually Tony Khan thanking himself.
Well, and here's the sad thing.
It both could be true.
If you told me that was what the thought was, if you told me, yeah, Tony Khan thanked himself, I don't have any problem believing that. But trying to go for the better of it, I'm going to say that it was an optical mistake, kind of like,
terrible.
Let's eat grandma, get grandma for dinner, or, whatever the thing is.
Right.
Put your commas in or your punctuation in.
Help your Uncle Jack off the couch.
Exactly.
Or horse
normally.
Anyways, hey, it's been 2 hours and 18 minutes of nonstop pizza wrestling, NWA talk, WWE talk, and it's always a blast to talk to you guys each and every Thursday. I hope you'll be with us next Thursday, as we're going to have some real important stuff to talk about that we will let you know on Thursday what we're going to talk about. But
it'd be nice to finally have that.
Yeah, I hope you guys will join us
for more pizza talk.
More pizza talk. I'll be in Colorado. I'll be remotely doing a show that we do remotely anyways. But yeah,
you're definitely gonna love that pizza talk. You're gonna have the munchies.
You know what? They have a pizza place in the hotel that we're staying at. There's a pizza bar like downstairs, so I'm sure I'll be eating some pizza and elk chili. It's delicious. And Dodie says, and more Tyrus culinary talk. You heard it here first, Dodie. So that's going to wrap it up for us.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Because I just opened up X. And of course, the very first thing on X, and this is why the change was going to be made, is Dwayne Johnson's account saying, man, I'm pumped to be the Grand Marshal this Sunday's electrifying Daytona 500. The energy and the mania with the kings of the road. I've always had massive respect for drivers in the sport, blah, blah. And so, start your engines. So, yeah. I mean, that's why that's why Cody was getting shoved to the side and Rock was being put in place.
There it is. So we're going to wrap the show up. DKM, if they want to follow you on the socials, how do they do that?
At DKM FWTX on whatever socials I'm on. I don't even know anymore.
And what was the last part?
I said on whichever socials I'm on. I don't even know anymore. Oh, and don't annoy me.
That's what I was waiting for.
Okay.
And then, of course, Jaden, as you are our liaison to Dog Pro Wrestling, we know that there are some events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, including an announcement.
Are we making the announcement now, or are we going to save that for next week?
We'll get it out now.
All right. With 936 subscribers and 283 videos available on their YouTube channel, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on Dog Pro Wrestling's channel, which you can find at Dog Pro Wrestling, youtube.com/@Dog Pro Wrestling. And let's hear the announcement, Mr. Jaden.
Besides April 11th at Rowan University and April 25th at the Rowan College of Burlington County, Dog will also be once again partnering with MAWA on May 25th. MAWA reached out to Dr. Zircardium, and he just gave me permission to tell you this. The new Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Heavyweight Champion Breaker Morant, or whoever the champion will be at the time of that event, will be defending the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Championship at the next MAWA event, which is May 25th. And yes, that's Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
I think that's what the weekend, yeah. So go down the beach, go down the shore, and then come up, watch some MAWA, and then go back down to the shore.
Well, there you go.
Awesome.
So there'll be 3 opportunities to see the world champion defend.
Not a world champion, the dog champion.
Sorry.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Dog is not a world title. We're not delusional enough to say we are.
That's, you know what? Class act right there. Of course, you can follow us at the Alliance Blog. Oh, hey, real quick. Write that down on your calendar. Let's make sure we give Sean a shout out on April the 11th. The Alliance Blog. You can follow us on all social medias, Facebook, X, TikTok, Blue Sky, the Bee's Knees,
the cat's pajamas.
What's that?
The cat's pajamas.
That's right. And that's gonna be everywhere on the socials at the Alliance Blog. Of course, if you guys like what you see here, like, comment, subscribe. If you need some energy, check out the Dubby. If you need a title, go to trophysmack.com. If you use the link trophysmack.com/the Alliance Blog, I believe you save like 10% off your order.
DK, you need one as a cloud yelling championship.
Maybe.
Speaking of cloud, when you upload things to the cloud, do you yell at it then too?
That's when I really don't like it.
And
speaking of belts, I've added the original IHWE World Belt to my collection.
Oh. We have to talk offline.
Wonder if that means anything.
It might. Hey, that's going to do it for us. Until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance Blog. And until